Welcome in, everyone. I hope you guys are doing well wherever you're watching from. Dusty is making his return today to the show. A lot of you are asking where he was. He's been doing great, just taking a little break from stardom. But he wanted to hop in the topic today, and that is we're going to go a little opposite of the John McPhee Delta Force clip that I recently shared. Made a lot of waves when he was talking about the differences between Delta Force and SEAL Team 6. Got some very funny text messages from Delta and SEAL Team 6 guys about John and his comments comparing the unit and DEVGRU. So I decided, you know what? It seems like a topic you guys are really interested in. So I have another one. This is from Chris VanSant, a former Delta Force operator. But before we get into it, as always, please make sure to like and subscribe. Comment below if you think Delta Force or SEAL Team 6 is better. And I want to know what you guys think of this clip. So this audio clip is from a few years ago when I interviewed Chris the first time. I've known Chris for a few years. Former unit operator, great dude, served in Afghanistan, served in Iraq, saw a lot of intense combat, also worked directly with SEAL Team 6 when SEAL Team 6 had some guys alongside them in Iraq. So he is in a very unique position to share his opinion, and that's what we're going to get into right now. Let's roll the clip of Chris VanSant talking about SEAL Team 6, Delta Force, and when maybe that gap was closed. Let's play it. So I'm curious, Delta Force versus SEAL Team 6, who are you taking and why? Obviously you're biased, but let's hear the answer.
Yeah. So Army 100%. Yeah, I've got a lot of friends on the Navy side. I've actually done a lot of work with my Navy brethren over the years. I've actually been a part of a couple really significant missions with just me and one other SEAL. So I know a lot of them well. We always get asked this question. I'll give you a little piece of history. I'll tell you that the units evolve very differently, right? How they recruit, assess, train, select, etc., are very different. The Army was very much you got to earn your way there. The Navy kind of at that level, once you're a SEAL, when you're moving on to the tier 1 asset, sure, there's some training and selection that goes on, but it's a lot of who you know and who you served with, or at least it used to be. And it also creates kind of two different cultures in the Army. And not to say that they're not in the Navy, but the Army breeds leaders. Like from day one, you're as you move up from a rifleman to team leader, and you learn how to lead a couple of people, and then you're a squad leader and you learn how to lead a squad of people, and then you're a platoon sergeant, you learn how to lead a platoon, and so on and so on and so on. And there's professional development along the way to go along with those milestones. But the Army's really good at breeding leaders like that. So it creates a little bit of different culture just because of the Navy versus Army thing. But in the early days of Iraq, so we had left Afghanistan to pursue the invasion of Iraq, and the Navy was charged with continuing the Afghanistan mission. And when I say Navy, SEAL Team 6. And General McChrystal was the JSOC commander at the time, Stan McChrystal, who was a Ranger by trade most of his career. But Stan McChrystal had the idea that he wanted to conduct a unit exchange, and he wanted, elements from the Army to send folks to Afghanistan to do a deployment with the SEALs, and he wanted the SEALs to send us a bunch of guys to do a deployment to Iraq with us. And his idea was it was a cross leveling of information. It was a cross leveling of training. It would basically, he wanted to have two pieces that he could maneuver around the chessboard that were interchangeable. I will tell you what he found out was that we're not interchangeable, that we have two different mission sets and different skill sets. Navy guys, they do a lot of boat work. They do a lot of stuff around the water that while we do some of those things, that's not our bread and butter. We do some things that they don't. Without discussing what those are, some of those are classified, but there's mission sets that Delta does that the SEALs don't. But the level of training and the skill sets involved are very similar. So that first rotation that we ever did in exchange, one of my teammates went to Afghanistan with the Navy and had his own experience with them. And then we took in a guy from them along with two other teams in my troop. And it was one of the best dudes I ever served with. He was a rock star, really solid performer, good shooter, fast, really blend in with our team very, very quickly. But at the end of that rotation, of the 3 guys that were assigned to my troop, one of them was a Navy SEAL team leader. And he actually said to our troop, he said, I just want to tell you guys, he's like, I've been an Army hater my entire career. I've been in the Navy for 23 years. I'm a team leader in SEAL Team 6. And you guys are the best trained, most competent unit I have ever been around. And I learned more in 90 days than I did in most of my time as a Navy SEAL.
Well, there you go.
That was 2003. Okay. Now, I will tell you, present day, those 2 units are interchangeable. That they've got some of the best individuals in the world on both sides, and they can both execute the majority of the mission sets interchangeably, and they do. So who gets the call and when and where depends on so many factors, but one of them is not who's better suited to do it.
So that's a very comprehensive answer. I like that. But when something like you just said, who gets the mission depends on a variety of factors. When the Bin Laden raid went down, and obviously they go with SEAL Team 6, were the Delta guys like, damn, I really wish that had been us?
Sure, absolutely. I can tell you, during the invasion of Iraq, I was in the middle of the desert at war conducting missions every day. And the Jessica Lynch mission went down where they rescued Jessica, which hardly any shots fired, but she was a hostage taken prisoner by Iraqis, and they pulled her out of that hospital. We were pissed that they did it because hostage rescue was our bread and butter, but we were engaged. It made more sense to take a unit that was flexible, that was already over there and able to go execute, than it did to pull us out of what we were doing to go do it. Bin Laden, there's a lot of backstory there too. You know, some of it depends on particular leadership positions that are in certain locations. You know, sometimes they have more experience with one unit or the other. It just kind of depends on where they fell in the food chain on the officer side coming up. But that plays into it. Sometimes who knows the battle space better plays into it. You know, if it's a ship takedown, the logical, you know, situation is always going to be the Navy. If it's aircraft related, it's going to be the Army, so on and so on. But yeah, there is always professional jealousy when one gets to do it and the other doesn't. I can tell you, when the Bin Laden raid happened, I was as happy as could be. I was as happy for my brothers on the Navy side as anybody. I was just as pumped as if it had been my old unit that did it. And I was happy to hear from the guys when they got back and talked about it.
Well, here's what I'll add to the question beginning. I've asked that question, no lie, in every single interview I've ever done with someone from the military going back years, because it's a fun thing. The readers like it. The internet likes to debate it.
Sure.
Everyone gives, the Navy guys and the Army guys, Marines, whoever, they all give a pretty lighthearted response. I've only had one person, and it was actually outside an interview I asked that question to, and it was a former Navy SEAL. I won't say who it was. He got so pissed that I even asked the question. He was so offended. It was unbelievable. But I enjoy getting answers to that question because everyone kind of has their unique spin on it. Like I said, Rob O'Neill gave you guys all the credit in the world. And I've had the opportunity to interview a bunch of Navy SEALs. They're all great guys, class act individuals. So I got nothing but love for everyone. I have to ask whenever I do a military interview.
So right there, you saw former Delta Force operator Chris VanSant give his opinion on SEAL Team 6 through the perspective of a Delta Force operator. And he talked about how he has all the respect in the world for those guys. Maybe there was a time where things were done differently when the GWAT rolled around. Obviously, everyone had to get up to speed on everything they were doing. Tactics were changing. They were evolving how they were doing things. And he obviously has great things to say about SEAL Team 6 as a fellow Tier 1 operator. So I hope you all enjoyed hearing from Chris as much as I enjoyed hearing his thoughts. Let me know in the comments below if you're on Team Delta Force, Team SEAL Team 6, or if you believe they're 100% equal and interchangeable. Make sure to like and subscribe. And as always, I'll catch y'all next time.